Hello and welcome to the newest episode of the Arts Overlook. My name is Colby Campbell, and I'm honored to be joining the team here at Cedar Falls Community Television. If you stick with me, we'll explore the best and latest arts and entertainment in the Cedar Valley. Today we hitch a ride on a journey that was the defining moment in nearly 1,000 Iowan lives. I visited the 365 and Counting Iowans in the Vietnam War exhibit at the Grout Museum in Waterloo to learn more about it. Stay right there. The Arts Overlook starts right now.
Art is thriving in the Cedar Valley. It's everywhere. But if you don't know where to look, you could miss it. This is your local arts perspective. This is the Arts Overlook.
One of the oldest traditions in any art form is storytelling. Of course, there's poetry, books, music, paintings, and, well, television. But some stories you may not think about are in museums. At the Grout Museum in Waterloo, I met some people who helped to tell a story that perhaps should have been told a long time ago.
Drama and death on Vong Son Plain, South Vietnam, where a squad of U.S. 8th Cavalry is ambushed by an entire regiment of Viet Cong guerrillas. The 8-man unit was on its way to help fellow GIs under enemy fire. VC machine guns and snipers zero in, killing one and wounding two. Unknowingly, they had stumbled on the enemy's escape route. Helicopter gunships rush in to support the trapped, outnumbered ground troops, searching out guerrilla positions and firing rockets into them.
This is a really important one, I think, partly due to the subject matter. Vietnam veterans did not receive the proper recognition most immediately after returning from Vietnam.
This is Christopher Shackelford, a research and programming assistant at the Grout Museum. His degrees in history and his love for discovering stories and historical documents led him here, where he gets to help program and plan exhibits.
It's kind of fun. I learn something new every day and able to express my creativity in different ways through programming. But for exhibits, you need to be organized. You need to think logically. You need to look at all different sources and different mediums, such as artifacts, video, photographs, interviews, and be able to take those information and put them together in a very fluid way, three-dimensionally here in an exhibit.
Shackelford is also co-curator of the 365 and Counting Iowans in the Vietnam War exhibit. He and his recently retired colleague, Robin Venter, worked tirelessly for 2 years to bring a part of the Vietnam War to Waterloo.
So once we decided which gallery we were using, we need to decide what information we're going to be presenting. So we solicited our veterans community, who's been very active here at the Grout Museum. We had multiple individuals excited about the project, came on board, so we put a committee together. Once you have a committee, you need to really draw out their ideas. We're not a military museum, we're a veterans museum, so we need to tell the story of Vietnam War through the perspective of these Vietnam veterans. So it was important for us to listen as well as facilitate the way this exhibit would go, but we needed them to really give us direction on what is important for Vietnam veterans, what they remember, what is hard to talk about, what are the sensitive subjects, what are the key features that have to be there, and then we can really come up with a plan. And from that point, Robin Venter and I created a floor plan. We then focused on what artifacts do we put in there. Once we decided exactly how we wanted to present it, what artifacts are going to accompany the storyline, and how do we do that? And then we collected photographs. We don't want to just utilize National Archives photographs and Library of Congress, which we do have quite a few. We wanted Iowa photographs that help tell the story from Iowans showing what they saw through their eyes, so to speak. And we got a large collection of those. Once all these pieces are together, really comes the creative process of how does this all fit? And even a couple weeks prior to the exhibit opening, we were still having those discussions over small areas.
It was apparent that the curators had put a lot of thought into every square foot of the exhibit. From ambient noise to the placement of walls, every element was intended to evoke a specific feeling to supplement the information.
For example, when you're in 1968 and you see all these dog tags on the wall, and it's just ominous of how many Iowans had been killed at this particular moment in the war, and you turn around and you can literally not see 1975. At that point, the war seems like it will never end. We planned that space So you would have that feeling in some subconscious manner. And that ambient noise was directly brought about by our Vietnam committee. The veterans told us there was no point in Vietnam that you wouldn't hear a chopper. You couldn't go a day without hearing a chopper. And so we wanted that ambient noise in the background to, one, draw back those memories for the veterans who came in, but also give you that atmospheric, you can't just make it 98 degrees in there and humid, or have the smell of Vietnam, or put foliage or jungle all above your head. I guess you could, but it was just a subtle thing that brought you into that environment.
While the presentation of some components seemed obvious, the Veterans Committee and the museum staff faced a number of obstacles along the way.
So we wanted to have a dog tag for all 866 Iowans killed in Vietnam, and we didn't know how to present them appropriately. Spacing-wise, if you put them side by side on the wall and spread them all out, there wouldn't be enough wall space. It's just too many. We thought about putting them on a tree of some sort and have them dangling down as this like memorial tree, and that these dog tags represent the leaves. Do we put them at reachable height so you can read them and have some sort of connection with them? Or are we going to have children reach up there and be pulling them down? Do we put them at a certain height where you can't see them at all, and they're just a symbol of how many Iowans have been killed? And we went back and forth on that idea for a long period of time. And eventually we came up with a method to crimp the dog tag onto a conduit pole, which is very rustic and militaristic, and it kind of gives you this impression of industry, which I think is affiliated with the Vietnam War in general. And it was able to be presented, I think, in a very logical manner, and we really are pleased with the outcome. But that was kind of a roadblock at first. We didn't know exactly how we were going to present these.
The 365 and Counting exhibit also features interactive technology that allows visitors to find information on specific Iowans who were in Vietnam. This screen provides a wealth of information and truly adds to the exhibit.
You may have seen the Faces to Go with Names kiosk, the large touchscreen we have at the end of the timeline. So if you find an Iowan and you find the date of their death, you can go along the chronology of the exhibit and find that dog tag and make that connection. And particularly on opening day, we had some sisters of a fallen Iowan, Eugene Ward. His sisters came in here from across the country, and them being able to see that dog tag was very emotional and very powerful, and it really validated what we did was, I think, the most appropriate way to present them.
As the curators became more and more engrossed in the project, they realized that this was not just the story of the war. They had undertaken something much more personal, the stories of the proudest and the darkest moments of thousands of lives. And digging up these memories could have a profound impact.
One of the major themes we've heard from Vietnam veterans through the oral interview projects here in our committees is their experience serving in Vietnam is the most defining moment of their lives. Walking through that exhibit, sometimes it can be a healing process. We've heard that from several volunteers who helped us do the construction or collect material for the exhibit, which again I think stands for what we're doing here as important. But a lot of them are very appreciative of what we've done. I think they really appreciate that a local establishment is doing this. They don't have to go to Washington, D.C. to see the Vietnam Memorial. They can come here and have that, I guess there's no better word, but experience of relating to their past and seeing the public relate with it as well. And I think we kind of took a lead here of uniting the community for a single cause. And going through the exhibit, maybe it relates to a friend that they may have not known what they went through, and this can become a little more easy for them to see that. A lot of our veterans said how powerful it was to maybe bring their daughters or their sons in, show them pictures or artifacts, and be able to relate their story a little more candidly than just maybe sitting around the table and let me tell you about Vietnam. This became a place that you could explore ideas, and you're relating to community members, and it's just powerful, I think, for the community to come together under one subject and look back on their own experiences or maybe their generation before them's experiences, and really draw them together.
Though public support and opinion of the war was unsteady, it is absolutely clear that the soldiers who fought in Vietnam deserve our recognition and gratitude. If you'd like to learn more about the Vietnam conflict and the Iowans who sacrificed so much for our country, I encourage you to stop down to the Grout Museum to experience the exhibit. I promise, you'll be glad you did. You can visit www.groutmuseumdistrict.org for more information. That'll do it for this episode of the Arts Overlook. Thanks for watching. But more importantly, thank you to members of our armed forces, past and present. I'm Colby Campbell, and this is the Arts Overlook.